So being a father right now, I think right now has been the greatest opportunity to raise something or give someone more opportunity than I had, a father that I wish I would have had. But I also don't want to bleed my trauma onto my son. So it's also a lot of personal healing that I absolutely have to do. Leading up to my wife being pregnant, I was really depressed. I was an alcoholic. And the minute my wife told me she was pregnant, I was like, I got to kick this into gear. I did not have a dad. As far as my relationship, it wasn't there. He lived in a completely different state. And so a lot of things that I just didn't have that other kids had, I want my son to be able to experience. A lot of the dysfunctions that I have as far as in communications, because I came from a single mother household, I got to deal with those.
This is Caesar Walker, the cool, calm, collected one.
And I'm Walker and Gatrey, the emotional one.
And we are the Tipping Point Podcast, your source for the Black male's perspective.
Tipping Point Podcast.
This young man sitting to my right in the studio hails from Montgomery, Alabama. That's the 334. He's an esteemed UAB graduate. He is currently pursuing his master's degree, and he's got a PhD in his sights. This man is a dear friend and brother to me. He represents one of the 11. I'll let you figure out the rest. And I'm a proud fraternity brother of his. I give to you my brother, Malik Thomas. Where is my applause? There it is.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, honestly, man.
Honestly.
Well, dude, we appreciate you. What you talking about?
No, man.
Yeah.
Welcome, man. For the people who are being introduced to you, give them a brief overview of who you are, what you do, all that good stuff.
Yeah, awesome. So again, thank you for having me on. My name is Malik Thomas. The elevator speech, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a young husband, I'm a young father. And I'm also a business owner. I'm a Modern Day Geniuses, which is a clothing brand on the surface, but there's so many things that we want to kind of explore in the next few years and what we've been exploring over the last few months. We've had a lot of great opportunities, and we kind of want to continue to push that message through the brand as far as inspiring youth, inspiring creativity and things of that nature. Outside of that, like every other man, I'm working 9 to 5. I love what I do because it provides for my family, and we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Amen.
Let's unpack Modern Day Geniuses. How did that come about?
So, like Ronnie knows, by nature I paint. I think everybody's born with some type of God-given talent,
right?
Whether it's singing or playing the guitar, whatever it may be. But God gave me painting, drawing and painting and things of that nature. So my creativity saved me through a lot of situations and helped me deal with a lot of trauma growing up, especially being a kid that grew up in a single mother home. And we're gonna indulge. We're gonna kind of dive into that as we go on. But that inspired me to deal with my problems was just to paint. That's what I found freedom in. So as that grew, and I got into college, Modern Day Genius, it literally just came out of thin air. Because I felt like I was broke, and I started painting on T-shirts, like painting pictures on T-shirts. And to me, I felt like a genius. I felt like a genius because it was giving me money. I didn't have a job at the time. So it worked out, and then Modern Day Genius kind of arrived. And what I want to do is just kind of continue to inspire that kid who, doesn't have an outlet, maybe coming from the same type of background as me, and let them express themselves in different ways. So.
No. And one of the things we talked about offline before we started that you alluded to, you mentioned that in our communities, kind of the go-to has been sports for kids as an outlet.
Absolutely.
But you wanted to take a different approach.
Yeah.
Why the different approach in that regard?
So, so when it goes into that, because I played sports too.
Right.
I got a best friend, as was mentioned earlier, Christian Brooks. He's the owner of Modern Day TV. Very, very successful sports brand. A lot of kids navigate to sports, or not navigate, but just they're pulled into sports because it's violent, but it's competitive, and a lot of other kids also play those sports too. So it's just easily accessible to a lot of kids in a lot of underserved neighborhoods. So I say that to say this: although a lot of kids like to play sports, art is the route that I went. Even though I played sports, I was all right, I guess. I went to college for a year or two, but art is what saved me. Art is what helped me express myself. Art is what helped me deal with my emotions. And there's poets in those schools. There's kids that, want to do drama that might be interested in ballet, that may not have those opportunities or may not have that that gateway to express themselves in that way. But I want modern day genius to kind of give that to these kids or kind of expose that expose those things to them.
Gotcha.
So,
awesome. Giving them something different, an alternative.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that you were a father.
Yes.
Kind of share with us about how that's been going.
Oh man. So fatherhood. So I'm glad that I waited the time frame that I did. Now I'm not judging anybody. That's, I was a young father. But I'm glad that I waited until I was a little bit older. I'm 28 now. I'm 29 now, but I was 28 when my wife conceived my son. And so being a father right now, I think right now has been the greatest opportunity to raise something or give someone more opportunity than I had, a father that I wish I would have had. But I also don't want to bleed my trauma onto my son. So it's also a lot of personal healing that I absolutely have to do, kind of behind the scenes. Initially, leading up to my wife being pregnant, I tell my brothers this all the time. I was really depressed. I was an alcoholic, blah, 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 blah. And the minute my wife told me she was pregnant, I was like, I gotta get this shit in. I gotta kick this into gear. I did not have a dad. From what I know, as far as my relationship, it wasn't there. He lived in a completely different state. And so a lot of things that I just didn't have that other kids had, I want my son to be able to experience. But again, a lot of the dysfunctions that I have as far as in communications, because I came from a single mother household, I got to deal with those.
Right.
You said something, Malik, that got me to thinking, and I've shared it on this podcast before, and I'm very open about it. But in terms of like not wanting to put certain things onto your kids, I'm guilty of that, man. Especially my firstborn. He got a lot that he wasn't, that really had nothing to do with him. And I'm a big proponent of therapy, of course, but it wasn't until I, sat down and talked to somebody that was kind of like my wake up call. And I realized all that I was putting on him that was not fair to him. Right. So let me ask you this. Did you ever have that mentality like, I'm not going to be this type of dad?
Well, and I'm sorry for cutting you off. So I will say, I think a lot of the things that was driving me was I don't want to be my dad, right? So a lot of my anger and a lot of the things. My dad passed in 2017, and prior to him passing, I think I was like 16 when I saw him. Prior to him dying, at 25, I was 25. So, anyways, I said that to say this: when he passed, I just remember just like I don't even really know this guy, and I hate to say it like that, but that's just really how it was. And so I don't want that relationship with my son. And I also wanted, a lot of what drove me was I want to be everything but what he was. Unfortunately, what I'm finding is through me trying so hard to not be my father, there's so many traits that unfortunately I have been exposed to just because he was my father. And so healing from those adverse events, and we're gonna dive into an actual study that was done about adverse events that Black African American kids that they experience in single mother homes. We're gonna kind of dive into that and how they grow and have behavior issues, dysfunctions when they communicate and build their own families as well. Yeah.
As a bridge to that, what was the biggest challenge you experienced growing up in a single parent home? That as you look back and reflect on your upbringing, what were some of the biggest challenges that you dealt with in that environment?
I think it's just having another source of maybe just stability, whether it be spiritually or emotionally. It's for sure financially. Yeah. I think when you don't have just another source present that provides those things, then of course that puts all the weight on the other parent. And when they fall short, especially if there's more than one kid, then that means somebody is missing something. Something somewhere is not being taken care of. And so the best thing that the mother can do is, do whatever she can. Unfortunately, again, that leads to adverse events. That leads to traumatic issues because someone isn't there. It could be, so like, it could be a functional household, even if it's if it's like your mom and you got a grandma that's really supportive. That's somewhat functional. That's a little bit better, right? Than a single mother who's just raising 3 kids on her own, right? So now you have a lack of something from that other parent. So now she's having issues. Now she's depressed. Now she doesn't have anyone to talk to. And I'm not talking about my own personal mom. I'm talking about a single mother. Even though they may have friends that call and check on them and things of that nature, for the most of, she's in it by herself. Who does she talk to? Who does she get emotional support from? Who gives her romance? And I say that because, and I know this is a Father's Day episode, so I don't want to go too deep into mothers, but over close to 40% of African American households are single parent homes. 40%. 40%. That means 4 out of every 10 black kids missing a parent. 4 out of 10.
Sheesh.
60% of that 40% is a mom, black mom. So the probability that the daughter or son that somebody's raising is going to go out on a date with somebody who doesn't come from a 2-parent household.
Wow.
So then that causes dysfunctions. Is that not?
The numbers are just so striking to me. That's why
it definitely presents a challenge for sure.
For sure.
So I don't want to go left too quickly, but I want to say there's 11 million. This is a 2021 U.S. Census. There's 11 million single parent households. 80% are from mothers. 23% are poor. 40%, of course, are black. 40% of those numbers are of black households. And 6% again is of a black mother. So that's a real fact. So we said that to say this, even though more black women are the heads of the household, right? What's the most overbearing statistic for black women in single parent households? They're poor. But then what's another overbearing statistic for black women? But they're most represented in the working class. As far as women go.
Right.
Women go.
Mm-hmm.
They got jobs.
Yeah.
But yet they're lazy, right, on government support, right? But anyways, they got jobs. Right. But they ain't getting no money. So she's not home giving she can't really give too much time to her kids, right? She's always at work. She's barely making any money, barely making ends meet. So she's going through all this turmoil by herself. She's probably bitter towards the dad that left her.
Sure.
Adverse events. How you think those kids being, shut up, sit your ass down.
Right. Let me ask you this. When you look at your experience, was some of the frustration your mother had to you, how did your mother communicate to you about your father?
I had a wonderful mom. I want to give her credit because one thing she never did was she talked bad about my dad. Okay. She let us make our own opinion from our own perspective.
Yeah.
My brother and sister may have a very, very different perspective of what I have with my dad. I'm a lot younger, so they may have they might have a way different perspective. But as far as mine, the one that I have, maybe I have some healing to do that, and maybe fix that perspective. I'll just leave it at that. But at any rate, my mom did a good job of just letting us see that it was hard. And I say that by saying a lot of times black moms don't express themselves, or not just black moms, but a lot of people don't want to just express themselves in general. But a lot of black mothers want to be strong, right? But there was times my mother allowed us to see her being vulnerable. And I think that at a young age, that gave me a different appreciation of what she was going through, which probably helped with how I went about and behaved outside of the home. So I had a great mother. She went off, she got degrees, she went off, she was in the military, she retired. She did all that as a single parent. So of course that probably motivates my work ethic. So I got lucky. I will say that. But even though my mom did all those great things, we still had times where, we had to decide, well, do we want hot water or do we want electricity? Do we, how are we going to make this meal stretch? Hey, you're going to have to borrow these clothes. I only got $100. Y'all better make this stretch for school starting. Things of that nature, we went through. Where we lived and the living conditions, things of that nature. But I didn't really have too bad of an experience. I think more than anything, me having bottled up anger towards my father is kind of what led me to have more of appreciation for my mom.
Wow. So, okay. So I know we love our mothers. We do. But let's pull it back. Again, this is Father's Day.
Sorry.
No. I love the perspective you brought. I want to share something with you. One of our guests, Rashad Harper, he had an interesting perspective that I've had a lot of conversations with several people. And his thing was, and I hope I don't butcher this too much, Rashad, forgive me. But he had a level of compassion for Black men.
I do too. Yeah. No. For the men that are in the house, I definitely have a level of compassion.
No. His compassion was the men who were fleeing the home. Now listen, because I had the same energy. Listen,
I agree.
Listen, because what he challenged me to think about was that man that's fleeing the home. That's probably what his dad did.
Yeah.
And that's probably what his grandfather did.
Yeah.
And that's probably what his great-grandfather did.
Yeah.
So they don't know any different.
Yeah.
That's not a perspective that I ever embraced before Rashad got here.
No, it's fair to empathize with them. It's definitely fair because, again, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
And you good. Not to cut you off, but just to add more color to that, it's not an excuse. Rashad was very clear to the point. It's not an excuse, but oftentimes we never hear the other side of the story, right? All we know is that he wasn't there, immediate judgment. But what he was adding context to is you don't know the events that led up to that man fleeing that home. And there's, for lack of a better way of saying it, demons that he's having to deal with that in some cases, did you really want him in the home with all those issues? You know what I mean? And so
come on.
You know what I mean?
Come on.
So go ahead.
My brother.
Now.
My brother. So Adverse Childhood Experiences and Behavioral Problems Among Black Poor Children by Jennifer Ray, ETAL 2021. All right, so let's kind of jump into this real quick.
I feel like a sermon about to come on.
I love this, dude. I love this. Let's go.
I think someone activated him.
It's statistically proven, right? We already talked about all the statistics about a single parent, blah, 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 blah. But the dads that are in the home, it's statistically proven. This was done in this research. It's found that the ideal living situation for a child, a Black child, the ideal family dynamic is a non-resident father who provides financial and social economic support. That's the ideal. This is something this is somebody who had an opinion, and this was research.
Right.
Through it was stick with me. Hold on. It was it wasn't they did interviews. They did interviews, and it was a qualitative research study.
Okay.
That's what it is. And they did interviews, and through the interviews they found that most of the adverse events for the men that were in the home, they were causing it. They were abusing, they were alcoholism, they had no idea how to budget finances, cheating, whatever it looks like.
Right.
They were causing the adverse events. It was better for him to be gone. Hey, baby, you got that $20 I sent you for them diapers. And he show up to a baseball game every once in a while. So why do you think, so when you look at that, it's an overwhelming, I mean, is that, what do you think, how do you feel about that? When you think about that, though, think about how many lost men there are in households trying to raise kids. That's why I try to, when we talk, I try to become conscious of everything I do.
Right.
I have to be, because I can't be the cause of the adverse events.
Right.
Because my dad caused the adverse events. He left.
And when I hear that, my immediate thought is these men become Rolling Stones. Yeah. So these issues are replicating.
No, he's breaking other homes too.
He's breaking other homes.
He's doing another girl
it's
like
a
that.
Domino effect.
That's a domino effect. Right? He's going to keep doing it, and he's not going to be held accountable. But it's like I said, it's because it's proven that this is a better living situation, right? For the guys that stay, for the dads that are around, they're not really appreciated. Because
activate me, please.
So
Thank you.
And I'm not projecting, because I love my wife. We're fairly new in this thing, so I'm getting all the love right now. But I look around, I can spin in a circle, and I can point out in any room that I'm in. There's many men who are way older than me who let me sit down and talk to you about this marriage shit. They don't seem happy. But let me tell you from what I've seen from my perspective, and I could be wrong. Just coming from a young man, what I hear is a lot of men yes deared their way through years and years and years of marriage, right? She controlled when you got pussy. She controlled how much money you spent and what you spent it on, who you went out with and where you went out with, and you yes deared all that shit.
Yeah.
15 years down the line, you got a beer gut. You're out of shape. You're overweight. You don't even know how to talk to a woman if you wanted to, because you ain't fresh no more. That pussy don't even get wet for you. It don't even get wet for you no more. But you done yes deared everything she asked you. You done became everything she wanted you to be. Now she don't even want to fuck you. She gives you some pussy every once in a while, and she treat it like it's a job. Come on, nigga, I get some pussy. And I might be wrong. I'm sorry if I went left.
But these are the dudes who are telling you, I guess, projecting their frustrations
For
of
sure.
marriage.
But it's a lot of dudes saying this.
Yeah.
It's a lot of dudes that became beta. And what women want genetically, biologically, is an alpha.
A leader.
Exactly. And what are most black women? Alphas. They're alpha women.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Either you, and I may be wrong. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Did you want to say something, Black?
No, it was just I was thinking back when you were talking about like men fleeing the home, and I was wondering like,
That's why.
well, would it could also be the case where like the man and the woman are not compatible, and for them to stay in that home, it would be toxic for everyone. So the best thing is for him to leave, but it's not necessarily because he's the wrong person. Just that if you have to separate the two parents, it's best if he leaves and she stays with the kids.
Why do we think there's so many of those type of toxic situations? Because there's a lot of men fleeing the home. So what's happening? What's the disconnect?
Well, I mean, it's obvious we don't know how to lead.
That's not where I went, but go ahead.
Well,
I want to hear Black.
what's the example? What's the example in the context that we just
What's the
laid out?
disconnect?
What's the example?
You saying it's the man's fault every time?
Well, think about it. Wait. If I'm in this adverse situation, and what I've seen is my dad fleeing, his dad fleeing, his dad fleeing. Where am I going to get leadership alpha type qualities from that?
A woman. She had no choice, but now she has no choice.
That's my whole point.
No, you can't.
So if a man doesn't have it,
You can't blame him. You can't.
no,
blame
I'm
him.
not blaming anybody.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming anybody, but I'm just saying like, if you take that context, these men are not getting leadership qualities.
It's destined for us to bump heads. Right now, in the generation that we're in.
What, you talking about men and women?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. We're totally different creatures.
It's destined for us to bump heads right now.
And that's okay.
Do you think a part of it has to do with you just had two people coming together who just like sex and not thinking about the consequences of what came after that?
Well,
Of course. It's a lot of that.
Because
now you want to have a podcast.
because at the same time, you may be sexually compatible, but y'all not compatible to do life together.
Right.
And so there's so many instances where if that man doesn't choose the woman, it's hell for him.
Yeah.
It's going to be hell for him.
Right.
And unlike your mother, there are a select few group of women
I prepare for that.
who will weaponize the failure of that relationship against that man and feed that to her children.
Yeah.
That man can't even go in that house
Right,
if
right.
he wanted to.
True.
There are men who want to see their children and can't.
Can't. Now you're right with that.
But
Where's the leadership with that?
well, that's I think that's
Now-
my whole point.
So
The woman has to assume that leadership.
But is she a leader?
it's so that's a so
What you got? Oh, okay.
so
Naturally, genetically, she's not. But when thrust in that situation, like a lot of black women are, they don't have a choice.
no, that's different though, because she not.
How is it different?
But the scenario.
This example is a little different.
The scenario he's providing is: what if this is a good guy? What if this is a guy that does everything right, loves the woman?
y'all are dealing with the outliers now.
There are a lot of outliers, but there are a lot of men. There are a lot of men where the relationship just doesn't work out for whatever it may be, and the woman weaponizes.
That happens a lot more than you would realize.
Oh, a lot.
Okay. And
Oh, a lot.
I'm not denying that.
But we know somebody, and I'm not gonna say who.
Yeah, we
who
do.
has a woman currently weaponizing his child,
Right.
And he got to go through hell and high water just to spend time with him.
Right.
We know that he's not a bad guy.
He's not at all.
He's a good man.
Right.
The relationship just didn't work out. And there's a lot of situations like that. And I tell you, a lot of things is, so a lot of, from my perspective, a lot of times we won't hear about what a man's going through or his perspective.
No one
on
cares.
Things. No one cares.
That's
One,
why
two.
we're here.
A lot of times it's embarrassing.
Right.
Your girl cheat on you and leave you for the plumber. 9 times out of 10, she leave you. He fucking about her.
Hey, plumbers can make some good money now.
No, it ain't even about the money. It ain't even about the money.
Right.
He fucking about her.
Right.
Yeah.
Damn, that hurt. That's sick. You gonna go tell your homeboys? That's why y'all broke up. You gonna go tell your boys?
9 times out of 10, we're not.
No.
We're not
9
gonna
times
talk
out of
about
10.
that. So,
Right.
and this the crazy thing. She gonna be celebrated for leaving your ass.
You don't think so?
You don't think so?
They can do bad all by
Oh,
themselves.
girl, I'm so glad that you're finally happy and living in your happiness.
Are we talking on context of the dude
And
that got cheated on?
You could have
being-
been a good dude.
No, what he's referring to is the woman's echo chamber that she runs
Oh,
to.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The woman's echo chamber that she runs to.
It's a lose-lose situation.
There's no accountability there.
It'll never be. It'll never be any
Here we go.
accountability.
Here we go. But isn't it the same on the other
I'm not
side?
gonna say that because I don't want.
Isn't it the same on the other side?
I don't want any. I don't want anybody to come at me.
Well, no. But isn't it the same on our side? Don't we celebrate that too as men?
Celebrate what?
Oh, you got a side piece?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Yes. So I'm gonna keep it P. I'm gonna keep it P.
Who's
so,
we?
We're just gonna live in the outliers.
So I think
No.
we're living in outliers with this, though.
No.
So you just talking about society?
Yeah.
I think it's
We
a-
glorify that.
What, cheating?
Yes, whether we want to admit it or not. We
think
individually may not,
Yeah.
but you think of black men across the landscape, that is celebrated.
Man,
so
listen.
it's just like the black woman in your situation.
Listen.
Don't make it right though.
I'm not saying it is.
Okay.
I'm just saying let's call a spade here.
Yeah.
Is that common?
But
If the if the woman's gonna be celebrated for getting with the plumber,
No, the point is, if she leave you for the plumber, that's gonna be celebrated. If you leave her for the secretary, the motherfucker gonna throw tomatoes at you. You ain't shit. You trifling.
dudes are.
Yeah, dudes do get labeled trifling. For that.
Society is
Dudes do-
for that female.
You're-
Other dudes could kill it.
That's what I would. See, that's where I am. That's where I am.
If she left you, if I find out, if I'm personally have a person with my boy, but if some guy finds out his wife left him for the plumber, I'm not gonna care. I'm not gonna care. That's got nothing to do with me. But if I feel like other women would care if a guy.
Okay. Let's sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
If the man left the woman, those women would run to her aid.
There you go.
He trifling. He this.
Right.
He bad.
If the male, okay,
If the
okay,
man,
I'm with you there.
if-
I'm with you.
To his point,
Yeah.
she leaves him. We like,
Okay.
bruh.
Yeah.
You know of a situation. I just talked
Yeah.
about a person this weekend.
Touche.
Damn,
He
man.
did everything
No one
right.
cares.
Damn, they must be fucking about him. Someone gonna say somebody out of the background gonna say that before they be like, "Damn, I'm so sorry to hear that." Like he really plumbed her.
You really, I really,
He fixed her pipes.
really believe.
You is turning all the way up.
I'm sorry.
Let me.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not. Don't
No,
do it.
you are good, bro.
I don't know. When he started grabbing that mic,
Yeah.
It's on. Activated. Activated. Let me ask you guys this. Let me ask both of you guys this. Cause you know I got articles for that.
You?
I know, right? Let me ask you this, because both of you guys are fathers. Do you have a purpose for yourself as a father? Is there and let me set it up. Because
I told you, Malik. I told you he's right.
This article that I read spoke to me, and one of the biggest things about and it's by the Greater Good. You can go to them online. They do research and articles. This is articles from Jeremy Adam Smith, and he talked about your purpose has a way of dictating your decision making, right? And from what I took from it is when you talk about purpose, it's closely connected to identity. You remember on our last episode, I talked about knowing who you are, your identity, right? If I can identify something as a chair, immediately I understand the purpose of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you identify as a father. what is your purpose? If my purpose is to lose weight, if I'm gonna lose weight this month, 5 pounds, no excuses. I'm supposed to be down 5 pounds by the end of this month. Okay. That dictates the decisions I make in terms of diet. Even if I don't feel, I want some Chick-fil-A, I want something good, but my purpose is to be healthier and lose weight. So that dictates what I'm consuming. It dictates that I'm not going to sit on the couch. I'm actually get up in the morning and work out or work out in the evening, right? As a father, what is your purpose that prevents you from going through the motions of life? I'll start with.
Start running. He's an OG.
Oh, now you want to fall back.
Yeah, I'm back on this one.
My purpose really is simple, and I'm just gonna say it. My purpose as a father is to create and foster an environment to where both of my boys feel comfortable and confident sharing anything with me. There's a lot that stems with that. But man, when I am in deep prayer about being that quality of a father, that is the one thing that's always going to boil up. And I know everything associated with that, at least in my mind, has fruit of being a really good and intentional father. Now, well, you just asked the purpose. I was about to go somewhere else. I'll pause there.
Let me ask you, why that purpose? What's the outcome you're aiming for by that purpose?
I just have that vision, and that's the vision I've had ever since my wife told me she was pregnant. Okay. And it's powerful. Like I just see if I'm blessed to live long enough, I just see like a quality relationship with each of my sons that really, there's nothing off limits. I'm going to bring this to dad, whatever it is. I know he's going to be a safe space for it. He's going to listen. He's going to hear me out. And we're going to have a productive conversation about it. He's not going to yell. He's not going to, shun me. He's not going to cast me away. He's not going to judge me. This is my dad.
Do you know what that looks like?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's where I was gonna pause because I was about to get to that. But
okay.
if it's okay to answer that,
I mean, I think your name's on the podcast, so you can go.
Okay. Yeah. No, what it looks like is something I'm struggling with.
I just want to have you seen it before to know, like.
Oh
your
yeah.
goal, like.
Oh yeah. Like one of my good friends, one of my really good friends, has this relationship with his dad. And man, it was before the pandemic, but I begged him to go to lunch, my friend. And I told him, like, dude, I love what you and your dad have. I just need to know what that looked like for you growing up. And he picked that apart for me, man. And I took that in. I wrote over that. I prayed over that. And like, and do I fail? Yeah. Yeah, I do.
But you have a guide.
I have the guide. And I make sure it's in front of me so I can be mindful of it when I do fall short. Yeah. But that relationship that he has with his dad, that is exactly what I'm targeting for me and my sons. And that fuels my purpose.
What about you?
So just to unpack a lot of what Ronnie was saying, I think this is why I
get on the mic, Malik.
I think this is why I love. Sorry,
the mic won't bite.
No, I think this is why I like communication so much, because we when you think about the idea of just what do you think is successful on achieving like your purpose, right? Or achieving something. That means that we've created what we think we should look like. And if we achieve what this envision of a future self looks like, once we achieve that self, then that's considered our success, correct?
Right.
So even if you did have a blueprint, all you're doing is just molding yourself to be something else, somebody else, rather than, kind of working your way through it and just being like organic as being a father. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm someone who doesn't have a blueprint at all. Have no idea. So some days I wake up and I'm just like, I'm finna wake up and lead a household again today, right? And also while being, of course, again, conscious of the things that I'm doing wrong, my bad habits. Moments when I feel myself wanting to raise my voice, wanting to lose my temper, wanting to lose control of my emotions. I have no idea what it looks like to control your emotions. I have no idea what it looks like is it okay to yell? Is it okay to spank? Is it okay to leave and take a ride? Is that okay? I don't know. So I think for me, what my idea of being the best version of a father is even though I'm learning, is take time, is to actively be conscious of everything I'm doing and be organic about it, but also understand like, okay, I know I did not do this right this time, but how can I do this differently next time? Now I know the main things is you don't beat your kid, you don't, whatever.
Right.
But outside of that, okay, in those moments when it's something where my son's this is gonna be a growing moment for my son. I don't know how that look, how I'm gonna help him through that. But I also don't know if it's a good idea to call somebody else. I don't know. I don't know if that's wrong, but I would prefer to kind of work my way through it.
Okay.
And raise my son, the best way I can.
I don't know if there's a right or wrong way. So
I don't
like,
think there is.
You think so?
I don't think there is, because essentially you picked a way that you thought somebody had a great relationship with their dad. So you picked that version of how he was raised, and then you're kind of molding how you're raising your son. So what if I meet some other guy and this guy has a great perspective of how he's raising his son? So then I pick that way of how I should raise my son. Which way is right?
Whatever works for you.
I guess it was whatever works for me. So if whatever works for me, then why can't I just kind of work it out?
And I guess the way that I framed the question was not what is the purpose
Okay.
of a father, but what's your
My purpose. Okay, and I'm probably just answering the question just wrong as hell anyways, and I'm sorry about that. You're trying to save me, but it's like, what the hell is this guy
You
talking
haven't answered
about?
one question right yet.
No, and you know what? I'm probably haven't.
I'm joking.
No, you're good.
But what is my purpose as a father? To raise an intellect. Someone who's better. I want to raise somebody who would be a man that I would aspire to be.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much what I want to raise. A son that I know for sure is going to be 2 times a better man than I am.
Let's go.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
That was your first answer you gotten right.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Y'all gonna cut probably so many of these because like this nigga. Just fast forward through this shit.
No. The reason why I say that's good is because that's, in the article talked about the purpose that many fathers had ingrained in their minds. Mm-hmm. Our fathers, our grandfathers, was protect, provide. Mm-hmm. And while that's good, oftentimes those men, they were so focused on protect and provide.
They were distant in relationship. Is that where you're going?
Yeah, they were not there in the home.
Okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
They're physically there, but they're not there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think Rashad pointed back to Fences, right, with Denzel. And oftentimes that archetype of a father tended to be real rigid, even cold at times, distant at times. Because all that stuff that you talking about, that's what your mom is for. Your dad got to go to work. You're going to learn structure. You're going to learn discipline. You're going to learn, he was the enforcer. He was the wait till your dad come home. He was that dude. He was almost someone that you feared, so to speak. But as I read this article and as time has evolved, nurturing is something that has been added to the list of fathers today.
For sure.
Because they understood from talking about you, like piggybacking off of something you said earlier, I want to give my child something that I didn't have.
Right.
I didn't have that nurturing aspect where I can come to my dad and we can talk about anything, right? I didn't have that, so I want to give that to my children. And I think, to your point, as we continue to evolve as men, getting into fatherhood, the goal is for your children to be, I think the true mark of success is for your children to actually be better than you.
Right. 100%.
When they reach your age. What do you guys think about that?
I agree.
I think my mom succeeded, again, at raising a kid. I tell her that all the time. She did a great job. I was able to, buy a home at a young age. We grew up in apartments. Literally. When I moved out of my mom's house, it was an apartment. My mom actually just moved out of that apartment that we lived in. I'm 9 years old. We was in that apartment when I was like a teenager. I was like 15 years in an apartment. She just got a house. I had no idea what even living in a house for real looked like. I didn't know what cutting the grass, edging your yard up, turning the weed eater sideways. I had no idea.
Now he's OCD about it.
Yeah, now I'm crazy about it. But 2 years ago when me and my wife bought our home, I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
Then we had a kid. Now I'm raising a kid. We got married. Fuck. And I wasn't saying. Now I'm not saying again. I'm not saying that I'm not happy about where I'm at because I'm happy because God blessed me in a way that I dreamed about.
Right.
Right. But I understand that now I have an overwhelming responsibility. For sure. And again, a lot of times I'm walking into situations like, okay, God, just tell me where to go.
Yeah.
And I'm making decisions based off of what I know, and they might be wrong sometimes. So I hope they're not causing adverse events, later on down the line. So,
gosh, man, every time I hear you say that, man, it eats at me, like not in a bad way, but I'm just like, you do such a good job of making me or helping me to see it through your lens,
right?
And I believe a lot of that comes with just being a father, regardless if you have example or not, just because you went through this.
Yeah.
After the baby's born, you get a couple days in the hospital.
Yeah.
They chuck deuces and you're gone. Yeah. And you're like, man, what? Y'all not coming to the crib? You like, so there's some of that, but yours is on a totally different, yours is a much more heightened level, I think.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't know where to start with that. It would drive me crazy.
Man, it's like, so I do, of course, like, me and you have talked, we've had a lot of conversations where I just kind of, and those are the times of therapy, where I can just kind of get your perspective on things. I know one time I called Ronnie out, I was jacked up, angry, right? Jacked up. And Ronnie just kind of talked to me and just kind of gave me somewhat of a situation that he went through. But by the time I got back home, I was like, you know what? Hey, baby, let's talk about this. Let's communicate. How do I change this differently? There used to be a time where I used to get so mad, I'd kick a trash can, punch a hole in the wall, especially growing up as a kid. I used to do that in the home. I used to get so frustrated with my mom. I'd punch a hole in the wall. I didn't know how else to express myself when I got that angry. I didn't know what it looked. I just, and so now now that I'm older and I find myself in a situation with my wife, this ain't my mama, this is my wife, right? Mm-hmm. I can't get mad and punch no damn hole in the wall.
Oof,
nah.
Right.
Not if I'm trying to raise a household.
No, you cannot.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then it turns into, okay, how do you work through this situation? How do you okay, I'm just gonna go for a quick ride. I'll be right back. And that's my thing right now. Until I figure out a better way, hey, I'm gonna go spin the block.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
When I called you, what I was doing,
spinning the block.
I was driving.
Yeah.
That's the best way I know how to problem solve right now when I'm that upset. Mm-hmm. I didn't have any other example, and that may be just the only way that works. And I hope that doesn't cause my son to have dysfunctions when he communicates, get in an argument, where he feels like he has to leave.
Well, Malik, the key is you're coming back.
Yeah, I'm not going nowhere now.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And also too, the hope is that you don't stay there. Right. So you get to a place to where you're able to process. Mm-hmm. You may not have to get in the car, but you may go in the other room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You may go outside. You may do some, you may edge the yard. Let me go edge the yard real quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let me go. Or let me go, you have workout stuff in your you may build like a little gym and you work out and decompress all that. And then you're thinking as you come down. You know what I mean? You come up with, the goal is to come up with constructive ways to be able to remain in that home, but you're not in that same area with her. Sometimes, depending on how intense it gets, you may have to leave. Mm-hmm. But yeah, go ahead.
If I could share, I have a tendency, to overreact. Okay, good.
I told you I'm being better today.
I'm serious. There were 3 flying daggers that I thought were coming from my head. But anyway, I have a tendency to overreact, especially my wife. Especially if it's something like that we're really at each other's throats about. Right. Like you, I've never been the type to like punch a hole in the wall or whatever, but I would just emotionally combust.
Yeah.
Wasn't healthy. My wife didn't respond well to that.
Right.
But
really?
Like, would you just start crying, or you just be like?
Sometimes I would cry, but most times I just yell. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. Dang, I can imagine. That's scary. Just seeing you.
Dude, because
I've seen you get upset, and I was just like, it wasn't a gray area. Right? It just went from white to black, and it was dark. It was dark.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You're not lying.
You're a tall figure.
A tall, prominent figure. Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway.
Continue, please.
Go ahead, man.
Anyway, but no, one of the things that through a lot of patience from my wife, which I have to give her credit for, what grew from that was positioning my wife to understand where I was emotionally.
Right.
So what that has built up to now is if there is a disagreement that takes us that far, hey babe, look, my emotions are really running high right now. I'm gonna need like 30 minutes.
Right.
I'm gonna go upstairs and I'm gonna just sort things out.
Right.
Because I don't want to take us back to how we were before.
Right.
It's always been received well.
Right.
Every time.
Right.
And then the outcome of that usually is good.
Right.
So you made me think of that when you said that. And again, I want to say this again, Malik. I want to be clear.
Right.
I still don't think there's anything wrong with getting the car, spinning the block.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I made that clear.
It's not. It's not.
And so, go ahead.
You just as you grow in your communication, there should be less of you.
Feeling
get
that boiled up.
Yeah.
There were numerous times where I probably should have spun the block.
Right. Right.
Now I got baggage from that, so it's like
So I do. So I do want to kind of bring it back to just kind of from the father perspective.
Okay.
We're sitting here talking about how much we feel like we have to change about ourselves. Why is it demanded that we change so much about ourselves?
Let's go.
Give me. Well, go ahead, Gatrey.
No.
You seem like you all over this.
I'm gonna need 30 minutes to get my emotions.
The podcast will be over by then. Give me some context as to your question, so I can understand.
Well, I just think that and I know there's a lot of people that are going to disagree with me, but I think there's like there's like a 80%, 20% thing rule, right? I think that a man is perfectly okay with marrying a woman for 80% of what she gives him. He'll be 100% satisfied with 80% of the woman he wants. That makes sense.
Yeah, I got you.
I think I think a woman would settle for a man that's 80% of what she wants, with the idea of the potential of him achieving that additional 20%. And the more that you don't change to achieve that additional 20%, the more you unlock that additional 20%, the more she treats you a little bit better, the more she loves you a little bit more.
This boy podding over here.
Like, when did you decide the podcast?
So I'm trying to figure out which side Gat's gonna land on.
What's he clarified? Like
because I know where you want to go.
So I think again, women see a man and I think women settle and men really don't settle. I don't think men settle. I think men get with a woman and be like, I really love this woman. Now, I think there's some situations where outliers where men are like, I got her pregnant, I'm gonna get married to her because it's the right thing to do. Yeah. But I think most men
we all agree that it's not the right thing to do?
I think men see I think when men marry a woman,
on its face we don't know.
I think when men marry a woman, they really liked her, right? Because there's more women in the world than there are men, meaning that he had multiple options probably. So he must have really liked her. But I think there's a lot of girls that settle. I think there's way more women that settle than there are men.
Amen.
Gatrey, you want to speak to this?
He was convenient. He had money. He got a nice car. I feel financial security. He got potential to lose a little bit of that weight. I guess I'll settle.
I've never felt more seen in a pocket.
I'm not talking about.
Hey man, you just went down a checklist.
Because I'm a check. Dang, Malik, how much have I shared with you?
I'm like, is he trying to be anonymous?
Wait, hold on.
Well, let me flip
Gatrey's mail. I read it.
And so let me flip it. Let me.
You've got mail.
So let me flip it one other way before you respond.
Okay.
Now a man sees a girl, right? She works at Wendy's. She ain't got no job. She ain't got no good job. She ain't got no degree. She ain't got no real education. She ain't got no kids though. But she fine. He walking there with all that success, and he see her. He like her smile. He like the way she smell. So he say, "Fuck it, I'm gonna get her number." He get this girl number. He starts taking her out because he likes her personality and how she looks. He starts to really like her. Now 5 years later, this girl don't work at Wendy's no more. His success is now her success. You think a girl gonna come pick your ass up from Wendy's? How many women picked a man up from Wendy's?
Man, you don't know who you sound like right now. But I ain't gonna say who you sound like.
Would you like to speak to this, Gatrey?
Malik is cooking.
Would you like to speak, sir? Is he going to take the
silence.
blue?
I don't know.
Is he going to take the blue pill or the red pill?
I don't know. I don't know where I am right now. Like, how did I get here? Where are my car keys?
He found that gray area. It's no white and black on this one.
I think you need 30 minutes for real.
Malik's not wrong. Okay.
So that means he's right.
I don't think I'm all the way right.
No,
But
no. Let him speak.
okay.
With the Wendy's example, though, the Wendy's example, we as men are far less likely to pick up a successful woman if we work at Wendy's, given the same scenario that you gave.
Right.
Oh my God.
What are you struggling with?
Because I've spoken to kids so much of this before. But I've never heard it put this way before. Why don't y'all say it like this?
Hey, you invited him, not us. But we're thankful.
Big facts.
Can we go back? Can we start from the top? And I promise I'll.
No,
okay.
you got nothing, dog.
No. The top of the question. Because here's what I
What has
heard.
been your retort? What has been your retort in the past? Let's start there.
Yeah, let me hear.
I've been hypercritical of the black male in a situation like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've leaned to believe and to think that there's always room for improvement for the black male.
Right.
I have traditionally not given the black male the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
True.
I want to hear this.
I'm owning this. This is a space for growth. I'm owning this.
Man, I hope this goes viral.
Can I
Continue.
you have something? Okay.
No.
But the way my brother Malik just put this out, and I want to go to the top of the question. When you were asking, I hope I got this right. Why is it that you're thinking of the 80-20, it's the man traditionally that's always got to be the change. And it's never the woman. This triggered me. This triggered me. Because I believe he's right, and I believe that's a big problem. I don't know why that is, but I will say on record that I do agree.
He got you
where
with that
you're coming
checklist,
from.
didn't he?
He did.
He got you the
He
checklist.
nailed me. He nailed me.
Go ahead, Malik. Go ahead, Malik.
So I will say. I will say this. I'll just leave it at like. So as much as it that men are supposed to change, it's almost like you're expected to change, right? Why can't you just be loved for just being just being running the way that you?
Well, okay. Here I come back again. Because Ronnie's maturation had to happen.
Okay.
Not just for my wife, for the kids that we would have,
Okay.
for this podcast, for my place in society.
Right.
The Ronnie that I was when I met my wife
Had to change.
had to change.
Right. And
It was imperative.
and I can agree with that for me too.
Are you the only one in a relationship that had to change?
You're breaking up, Black.
That's so funny. Can I speak? Okay, so two things can be true. I think it's important that we always evolve and grow and get better.
Correct.
Always. That's life.
Correct.
Right? If you're
Correct.
not growing, you're dying.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
However, to your point, it was funny. I had a conversation with someone about this earlier this week. Is when you think about traditional feminism,
Here we go.
traditional feminism
Turn me
gave women a choice. You can stay at home and be a homemaker, or you can go out into the workforce and compete for high paying jobs, well earning jobs, have a career,
Correct.
climb the corporate ladder, do all those good things, right?
Correct.
Now, what happened was society pushed women to have this choice. But there wasn't a programming in terms of how women view relationships and men in those relationships. Because even though women now have opportunities and they have opportunities that their grandmothers and great grandmothers did not enjoy, they still have the mentality of their grandmothers and great grandmothers, meaning they still want to date up. So now you have the career, you have the salary, you have the aesthetic, but you still want to date up like your great grandmother who didn't have a choice. She had to date up, right? So now you want the career and you want the man who's on your level at least, right? That's the problem, is that there was no programming in terms of how you view men in light of this new world and age you live in.
I completely agree.
And it's one thing, the man you're talking about, what the women don't realize, these modern women, that guy still going to pick up the chick at Wendy's and be happy.
Yeah.
Because for him,
Exactly.
we have always traditionally dated down.
So let me unfold this real quick. So then, why is it, even though we're living? I think this is where the disconnect. And I'm not asking this question. I just think that this is where the disconnect comes from.
Yeah.
We're living in a society with a modern woman that has expectations of a traditional man. You want to have a traditional man, but you want to have a hot.
But you're not traditional.
A hot wife summer. You want to have a hot wife summer.
Ain't even hot wife.
You wanna,
I was about to say, call it what it is.
Call it what it is.
Yeah.
Hot girl.
It's a hot
You
girl
want to have a
summer.
hot girl summer. My man gonna pick me up after I have mimosas with my friends, but you want him to be traditional. Ain't nothing traditional about most of the women that's running these households.
It
That's
doesn't.
in
It
these
doesn't.
households.
It doesn't work.
It
just
doesn't work. And again, that's why we have a lot of people bumping heads. And unless that man is okay with that, i.e. a beta, it ain't gonna work out. And then 15 years down the line, he gonna be miserable. That place ain't gonna get wet for him no more.
Close your mouth,
Going back to your point.
Wait. It ain't just him who's miserable.
Uh-huh.
She miserable too.
Cause she's settled.
It ain't just him who miserable, Doc. Let's keep it funky. If she didn't walk all over you and put her name on you like that, she ain't. Because she hasn't been changed. She respects and responds to a leader.
And you're not leading because, listen, anyways. So I say that to say this. Now I want to make sure I put this disclaimer. I love my wife. She's a completely different type of woman I've ever dated. However, even with my wife, she came from a 2-parent household. She's seen up. She's a homebody. She's a home nurturer. She does all the things that's right. There's still things that she's affected by just because society is so messed up with the relationships of black men and black women. The pressure on us to work. The pressure. It's the last little note I got. Being a good mom, low-income black single mothers negotiate intensive mothering. So now we have a lot of African and black women who have an intensive mothering mindset going into a marriage. Because it's so many generations of black mothers had to do intensive mothering. Either if he was in the house and the dad just was, unfortunately, he was at work all the time, so he was emotionally distant. The mother still had to do intensive mothering. She had to do it all in the house because daddy was gone working. Another generation, intensive mothering. Daddy ain't going working. His ass just ain't here. So now we have a new generation of men. Mostly us, guys in their mid to late 20s and early 40s. A new generation of men who want to be in the house, who want to be active. But we're dealing with a lot of the turmoil that happened 2-3 generations ago. And there's nothing, and all you can do is try to make a lot of dysfunctions functional and make them make sense.
How critical you think this isn't coached often or encouraged. We talk about therapy a lot, which is necessary. But what are your thoughts on going to postmarital counseling?
I think that
I don't necessarily mean in church either.
Oh no, absolutely. So you mean like, so we did premarital counseling, and now that we're married, you're saying let's say 5 years from now, 7 years from now,
every year
counseling.
Every year. Here's why I say that.
Okay.
I got a certification recently. There's a continuous training to maintain that certification.
Okay. I know.
You got certified to be a husband. She got certified to be a wife. You signed your name and recognized by the state.
Right.
Where's your continuous education?
I think I think there's 2 ways to look at that.
Yeah.
How do y'all communicate, and how do y'all communicate? If I feel like, and so I think even with me saying that though, I can see where therapy is very important. Because even if you guys y'all are vulnerable with the way that you communicate, a lot of times, a third perspective is really, really needed.
Listen, I eat healthy, I exercise, but I better take my behind to the doctor,
right,
and get a checkup,
right.
Right?
Are we even though the boat's floating, are we floating it right? Are we floating it in the right direction? Yeah. So I can respect that 100%. And maybe, and again, communication and the dysfunction of it in a lot of our homes is a lot of the reasons why I think a lot of marriages, if they do last long, somebody's not happy. If not, both people aren't happy, or they don't happen at all. Because I think there's just a lack of understanding and communication between both parties, and there's generations of no communication being done. So it's again, just the trauma and the things that we have to heal through as a community. What do you do with that? To even focus on being a husband?
That's part of my thought. Like, okay, we've identified a lot of issues, but like, what's the fix? And I'm not asking for like the gospel here. We're strictly submitting our opinions, but like, what is the fix?
I don't know. You got an answer for that?
No, I mean, it's difficult to fix it on a case by case basis, right?
See, I don't think it is.
The best thing you can do, I feel like the best thing you do is just do what works for your family.
No, I'm thinking bigger level than y'all right now.
I know what you're thinking.
What am I thinking?
I don't know what you're thinking.
As a whole, collectively, just understanding, just a general understanding. But you guys think about it, like, we're following the landscape of marriage as is to Western culture. And a lot of marriages weren't even, a lot of black marriages weren't even recognized when we first got over here.
Sure.
So the dynamic of marriage. Go ahead.
I would say this will sound cheesy, but in my personal experience, being married 10 years, things got better in our marriage when I got better.
Happy wife, happy life, huh?
No.
Okay.
Never that.
Okay.
Never that. We don't believe in that here. We don't play that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is getting better doesn't mean you bend to her will.
Right.
It means you get better. Because when I'm a better man, I can hold her accountable.
Right.
I can be a leader.
You're an alpha.
I can stand on my square.
Right.
I can this is the direction we're going as a family.
Right. You're an alpha.
This is what, you know what I mean? This is what I'm for me, I'm up first in the morning. She'll come in and be like, hey, did you pray? Can we pray about? I already prayed about that, babe. But I can get an agreement with you if you want to. You know what I mean? Like I'm out front, but it's not I gotta do this because if the ship goes down, it's my fault.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm getting better on the same vein though. That being said, she got to have that same intensity about her.
Oh, he's preaching.
Have you ever? The frustrating thing is to see a gifted player on a team surrounded by people who don't care. Right?
Yeah.
Almost like a waste of talent, right?
Right.
I'm getting better, but you should be getting better.
Right.
That's to me, that is going to fit whatever our traumas are. And I can't have this pride to where I can do it on my own. I need people holding me accountable because I got blind spots.
Right.
I can't address my blind spots. That's why it's called a blind spot. Whether it's a mentor, good friends around me, therapy, my faith. There are things that keep me balanced and holds me accountable to my value system, whatever that is I've set for myself. But she got to have that too. Right. She got to have girlfriends or people be like, "Girl, you was out. You didn't handle that right.
Right.
You need to apologize."
Right. And so I think I like your perspective. I love that. So I think what's most important out of what you said was you both have that understanding and agreement.
Gotta have that.
But you got to also understand that we talked about the statistics of how rare it is to run into somebody that's going to be like that with you. Yeah. It's rare to even find somebody that's a reasonable candidate to marry.
Yeah.
So then alone there's somebody
that you got any thoughts on that?
No, I'm just in total agreement.
Yeah. So
how convenient.
Yeah. So of course I think through living through your ethos, expressing yourselves with your significant other, becoming vulnerable with them, that's the only way it's going to work.
Yeah.
However,
for sure,
we're living in a society where a lot of people don't think on the level that unfortunately that you think, that I think, that Ronnie thinks. We're all men that are willing, that we want to be better.
Right.
Unless you're with a man that wants to be better, there's going to be problems. There's going to be problems regardless for women. Unless they're with a man that actually wants to be better, there's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot. And unless you're a man that wants to be better, you have to be an alpha. That's the point I'm making. Outside of the fraternity, you have to be an alpha. You cannot be.
I see what you did there.
We've talked about beta. right? We've talked about that. Now, there's a difference between changing and becoming a better man so you can better love your woman and bending to will. But that's a fine line, in my opinion. That is a fine line. How you make those decisions to continue to be the man that you need to be, I think that depends on the man. Go ahead, Black.
Just have a question. Do you have any advice on how to deal with an alpha female?
Communicate. My wife's an alpha female. Bachelor's in biomedical engineering, master's in mechanical engineering. Way smarter than me. Going circles around me in some situations. However, 100% true to myself. 100% true to the decision I make, whether it's right or wrong. I stand in it. And she's going to fuss at me sometimes. She's going to get up on me sometimes about it. But if you're an alpha man, you're just going to listen to it. You're going to respect it. You're going to address it if it's wrong and say, hey, baby, I own that decision. I apologize. Where do we go from here? She's going to appreciate you a lot more.
That's a fact.
Instead of being like, who the hell are you talking to? Because now you're trying to reassert your physically being alpha. No. Let's talk about this. Where did I go wrong? I accept that I went wrong, but I made that decision.
Accountability.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Accountability. It's gonna kill alpha. It's not kill it. It's gonna help mediate how you guys communicate.
Well, she can trust you because she
trust
knows
you.
you're gonna do the right thing.
So two alphas can get along.
We can definitely get it wrong as long as, but I have to. You have to completely understand that that's an alpha. Have to completely respect that. Also, I have to completely respect that that's an alpha. And a lot of black women are alphas because they have to be. They're forced by society to be. They got to fight for themselves in the workplace because they're underpaid, but they're the most educated. They got to fight for themselves everywhere they go, whatever. So when you're dealing with an alpha, you just got to understand, yes, I'm an alpha as well. And instead of trying to, you have to use your mind. You have to be committed to who you are as a man, 100%, and where you're going if you want to deal with an alpha. In my perspective.
In closing, what would be your word of wisdom to an aspiring father? What would be the one piece of advice you would give him about fatherhood?
What kind of man are you? Do you want your son to be anything like that? Do you want him to be better? Or our daughter? Do you want your daughter to marry a man like you? Do you want your son to be anything near a man like you? And I feel like if that is something where you can look at yourself and say, I want my son to be like me. That means that you're conscious about how you're behaving, what you're doing, what you're presenting. You're prepared in situations that you may not even thought you would be prepared to be in. I think the biggest thing is, am I a role model? Am I somebody who my child will want to be? And if not, you need to fix some things. Yeah. So I'm proud to be me. Ronnie, you proud to be you?
Yeah. And my answer is a derivative of that, and it's something we talked about our last recording. Know yourself, love yourself, because if you don't, no one else will. That goes for your wife. That goes for your kids. That goes for people in your circle.
Malik, appreciate you coming by, man. We enjoyed this conversation, man.
This was, see, just like
amazing.
You said.
Before we get out of here, let people know how they can get in touch with you, sir.
You can follow me on Instagram. My personal Instagram is pauseplayparlay _ and then my personal business is Modern Day Geniuses. That's on Instagram. So,
thank you, sir.
Wait, that's not right.
Wait.
How does he know all of this?
Because I stalk people. I stalk people on Instagram. I'll admit it.
Okay.
I stalk my brothers on Instagram.
My big Instagram account, my real personal Instagram part is Parley Parker. I want to give them my professional.
Oh, my bad.
But it's okay.
You
Parley
didn't
Parker,
give me that one. I'm not even following that one.
Parley Parker on Instagram. PARLEY Parker _ is my Instagram.
Bro, you gave me the burner?
I can't.
That's hilarious.
But also, Modern Day Geniuses is my clothing brand, and moderndaygeniuses.com is where you can get some of my merchandise.
Definitely, guys, go and support this brother. He's doing good things, trying to impact the youth in a positive way and give them some things that perhaps they don't have elsewhere. So definitely support him.
Tipping Point Podcast.